My Heart Will Not Sit Down, written by Mara Rockliff, illustrated by Ann Tanksley, and read by Lauren Wasserman. My heart will not sit down. To Lisa, who loves Africa, M.R. To John, Jane, Gail, Donnie, Jillian, and Dawn, A.T. School day, school day. Children, come, come, come. Keddy hurried down the dusty path, her bare feet moving to the call drum's quick, sharp beat. She did not want to be late to school. She wanted to get a good seat, close to teacher. All the children liked to sit near teacher, so they could look at his strange black shoes and watch the way his yellow mustache turned up when he smiled. But teacher was not smiling today. He sat on a log, holding a paper, looking sad. "Bad news from America," he said. "The Depression is getting worse." America was his home, far away across the Great Salt River. Teacher told the children the Depression was a time of trouble for America. Like the sun scorching the earth in the season of burning feet, the Depression made everything good dry up and disappear. Men and women had no work to do. Children went hungry. In New York, he said, people were starving because they did not have money to buy food. "Is that your village?" Katie asked. "New York?" Teacher smiled. "I suppose you could call it a village. A very, very big village with people from around the world." All day, Katie thought about the hungry children in New York, America, and her heart stood up for them in sympathy. Katie knew how it felt to be hungry. Many days she had wished for a bit of meat when there was none. Many nights she had emptied her bowl without filling her belly. Imagine how it would be to have no food at all. "Why the sad face, little one?" said Mama as they worked together in the garden harvesting peanuts and yams. Teacher said the people in his village have nothing to eat. "Let them come to us," said Mama. "We will share." "But they live very far away, across the Great Salt River. They cannot all come." Then Keddy had a new thought. Teacher said they needed money to buy food. Could we give him money to send home? "Money," said Mama. "We do not have enough coins to pay the head tax even. How could we send money to people whose faces we have never seen?" Keddy knew Mama was right. Still, her heart would not sit down. "Someone in the village must have money," she thought. "I will go and ask." Katie asked the uncle squatting on the ground, weaving a basket out of bush rope vine. She asked the sweeping mother with a baby on her back, and the grandmother with strong arms pounding cassava. She asked the laughing girls who carried pots of river water, balanced on their heads. She asked the old men gathered under the thatched roof at the Palaver house, playing their game of stones. Finally, bowing her head and speaking softly into her cupped hands, she even asked the headman of the village. Everywhere the answer was the same. Nobody had money to send far across the Great Salt River to America. At home, Keddy helped stir the soup for supper. She breathed in the spicy smell inside, thinking of how the children who could not look forward to a bowl of soup with fufu and a bit of meat and greens. When night came, she lay on the bamboo bed between her brothers and sisters, but she could not find sleep. Sitting in the doorway, Katie gazed unto the sky. Did the same bright stars, like twinkling eyes, look down on the hungry children in New York, America? In the morning, Keddy heard the distant beat of the drum calling, "Come, come, come!" She started to run down the path to school. Then Mama called her back. "Little one," she said, "give this to teacher." For the people in his village. Tax time is not here yet. We will find a way. Kitty stared down at the single small coin in her palm. She knew Mama had no more to give, but would it be enough? "Thank you," she whispered, and turned away. On the way to school, Kitty could not stop peeking at her fist. Each time, the money looked smaller, and her steps grew slower. Lessons had already begun. Kitty sat down in the back, far away from teacher. She knew she would give him Mama's money right away, so it did not get lost. But she could not make herself speak. Finally, she raised her hand. "Teacher, are there many children in New York?" "Why, yes," he said, looking surprised. "As many children as we have in our village?" Teacher laughed. "Oh, many more," he said. "In New York, the people crowd each other like the tall grass in the field. So many!" Kitty felt her eyes fill up with tears. How could she offer him her small, small money? Then she heard the noise, thump, 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 like the beat of a drum, the sound of many footsteps. First, the headman came. Next, the men from the Pavlover house, and after them, the uncle with his basket and the other men and boys. Then came all the women, grandmothers, young mothers with their babies, laughing girls. Last of all came Mama. "We have heard about the hunger in our teacher's village," said the headman. "Our hearts would not sit down until we helped." One by one, the people went up with their money till it poured from teacher's open hands. Kitty's small, bright coin glittered among the rest. "Well, little one," Mama said, "now will your heart sit down in peace?" Kitty thought about the children far across the Great Salt River in New York, America. "Yes, Mama," she said. "Yes." Author's note: My Heart Will Not Sit Down was inspired by a true event. In 1931, the city of New York received a gift of $3.77 to feed the hungry. It came from an African country of Cameroon. Many people in New York really were hungry at that time. The stock market had crashed in 1929, sending the nation into a depression. Factories closed by the thousands. Banks failed, wiping out people's life savings. Businessmen who lost their jobs ended up selling apples on the street corner for 5 cents apiece. Families that couldn't pay their rent were thrown out of their homes, and bread lines for soup kitchens stretched for blocks. Beggars everywhere asked, "Brother, can you spare a dime?" Even at depression prices, $3.77 wouldn't have gone very far in New York City. For villagers in Cameroon who sent it, though, the money would have been a fortune. In fact, money played a very small role in their lives. Women grew food for their families, mainly corn, peanuts, yams, cassava root, and greens, in gardens beyond the villages. Men planted cocoa trees, fished, and hunted in the jungle for everything they could spare, from wild pig to snake. They built their houses out of mud and thatched roofs with palm fronds. If they earned a little money, they spent it on basic items such as salt and metal tools, or payment for the head tax levied by the British and French colonial authorities. America was going through hard times, but life in Cameroon was always hard. Village girls like Katie had no bicycles or toys. Instead, they spent their time working in the garden, hauling water, caring for younger brothers and sisters, and helping cook the family's one meal of the day over an open fire. Growing enough food to stay alive was a constant struggle. Yet the people shared with anyone in need. Even a stranger from afar away was sure to be offered a meal and a bed. After all, as the villagers said, you may meet him again, and in his own place.